All right, everybody, welcome in to Load the Box. I'm not really sure what to call this episode. This is kind of a weird one, because we're not gonna spend the whole time talking about the. I have to readjust because I'm on the left now. Talking about the Washington game, we are gonna talk about T.J. Hockenson and the mastermind trade that was conducted from Kwesi Adofo-Mensah yesterday. Will, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to you. Let you start talking about TJ first. What you think he's gonna bring, whether or not you like the deal. Just your overall thoughts on it, and then I'll give my take. But I'll let you get us kicked off here.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's kind of TJ mania around here these days in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Um, and yeah, clearly everybody's excited about the trade. I think it caught people by surprise, right? There were rumors of the Vikings going after a tight end or at least a pass catcher. Um, but no one expected TJ Hockenson. Jared Goff himself did not expect TJ Hockenson to be traded. Hockenson had said too that he actually expected to be traded, but not to the Vikings. So it's exciting for the Vikings, obviously, and their fans. I think it fills an immediate need. One being Irv Smith Jr. unfortunately is likely out for the season again with a high ankle sprain that he suffered on the KJ Osborne touchdown on Sunday. Kind of nobody really noticed it, right? Because it was a touchdown, but he got rolled up on in his during
Yeah.
his block, and so um, unfortunately he's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. Which I mean, you do the math, that brings us right about to week 16, 18. I mean, right to the end of the season, and we need a tight end. Johnny Munt can't really be tight end one if you're really looking to move the ball through the air with the tight end. So Hawkinson fills that void. He's big, he's strong, he's real athletic. He has speed, not wide receiver speed by any stretch, but he's got wheels. Irv Smith himself is fast too, but you've seen some of the highlights with Hawkinson. He can break tackles and he can stretch it. I think against Seattle in Week 4, he had like a 81 yard catch and run. Um, Brought it from the -15 to the +4. So he's got the ability to make big plays, and I think the thing that I'm most excited about with him is just, like I mentioned, he's got the ability to make runs after catch and also just great hands. He catches everything you throw at him. And so I think this is huge. I think it's understated with the Kevin O'Connell offense how important a tight end is. Tyler Higbee was huge in Los Angeles last year in their Super Bowl run. Kirk Cousins, we all know, loves tight ends. He's had a tight end as his number 3 receiving option every season that he's been with the Vikings, above any third wide receiver. And so having Hawkinson is going to be an absolute boon for the offense. I'm really thrilled about the trade, honestly. I think we didn't give up too much, and we got a really good player in return for about a year and a half. So, and obviously if we extend him, that even is more. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting. It's kind of a conglomerate. How about you? Where are you sitting after about 36 hours of this?
Yeah, I feel like he is. He's just so like I don't want to overstate what he is because he's.
Hmm.
It's not like we went out and we traded for Travis Kelsey.
No.
Um, Nor do I think we needed to. I think that he's a very solid red zone option. I think that makes our red zone offense, which is one of the better red zone offenses in the league. If I have that stat correct, I'm pretty sure like we've really bumped up the average the last couple of weeks. I think we went like 5 for 5 on Sunday. Once
Hmm.
if we got in the red zone, we were punching it in. So I think he adds a lot in that way in the red zone, but he really is kind of a do-it-all tight end. It used to be an old running joke on the show when Kyle Rudolph was still in town that they loved to throw Kyle Rudolph's like wide receiver tight end screens, and he would get like 6 or 7 yards and then get tackled, and we were always like, why are we throwing those to Kyle Rudolph? He's not really he was just a red zone guy. I think TJ Hawkinson is the kind of guy who yes, he gives you the same amount of red zone like dominance, if you will, because he's just such a big guy. But he's also going to be able to get it done in between the 20s. I mean, you look at some of his games
Yeah.
this season. The Seattle game that you already mentioned, he had the really big catch. He finished with 179 and 2 touchdowns in that game. So I think we're talking about a player that any given Sunday can take over an entire game. And if the defense does adjust to TJ Hockenson just destroying them, over the middle, making big plays, making these catches, well, now all of a sudden, you're worried about the middle of the field. Justin Jefferson's getting potential one-on-ones on the outside, and so I think it's such a good move. I was hoping the Vikings would make a play for Chase Claypool or even like a Jerry Jeudy, but with the Irv Smith, the like you said, he got rolled up on, and with him looking like he's going to be done until, maybe he comes back for the playoffs. I'm not quite sure. I'm glad we went out. We got I think the best available tight end, and we got a tight end that isn't just another Johnny Munt who's going to be a body that can block and maybe you can scheme him for a touchdown or something like that. No, we went out and we got a legitimate weapon. Also, kudos to the Vikings and specifically Kwesi for a couple of things here. One, having the cojones to trade in division and say, you know what, Detroit, you've been rebuilding for, 50 years almost. We'll give you a second round pick. Yeah, you won't do anything with it. Like, you'll probably draft a bust with it. So we're comfortable trading with you guys. And also kudos to Kwesi for not saying, kind of what I was saying on Monday night's show about how, hey, this season's kind of we're playing with house money. Like, I didn't expect us to be, at this record, and I was kind of expecting us to win, go a couple games over 500 maybe. So kudos to Kwesi for saying, like, no, yeah, the Vikings are 6-1. We're gonna go out and we're gonna get a legitimate good, like a B plus and A minus tight end, and we're really making a push here. So I really liked it. I think that it's an elite move. What did you think? I don't remember if we talked about this after the draft because I can't remember when like you came to the show. What is your opinion on trading in division? We make the trades with Detroit and Green Bay during the draft. Now we've made another trade with Detroit. Would not shock me at all to see us send, some first round picks over to get like Rashawn Gary at some point from Green Bay. Like, it seems like Kwesi just doesn't care. They're just another opponent. What's your take on it?
Yeah. I think initially, at the time of the draft, I think my initial take was, oh yikes, we're trading with the Packers and we're trading with the Lions. I think especially when I saw that the Lions were able to get Jameson Williams, then I think I was kind of like a little bit concerned and a little bit confused at the approach. But I think now that I've watched Kwesi in action and we've had about 7 months to just sit here with this and kind of see what his plan is and see kind of what his process is, I'm kind of over and now onto the side of like, they're just another opponent.
Yeah.
You play them twice a year, but unless I think maybe the piece where I would have an issue is honestly more from the Lions perspective, is if you're trading a proven commodity to your division rival. That's where I see more of an issue. If you're trading draft picks, that's just it's all gambling at that
Yeah.
point, really. Because even though they got supposedly a really good player in Jameson Williams, for example, as far as I'm aware, he hasn't played a snap yet,
Nope.
and we don't know anything about what he's going to be. Same thing with the Packers. They got Christian Watson with one of the picks we traded them. He's been all right, but he's had some big drops. He's been hurt. So again, it's you're kind of banking and you're betting on the fact that your division rival will not draft well. And the Packers historically have not drafted wide receivers well, and at least early round wide receivers. They've gotten some steals in the later rounds, but early round receivers not so much. And with the Lions, I mean, they've been a train wreck for years. And so, like you said, trading draft picks, I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah.
On the Lions side of things, though, if you're giving up your your previous Pro Bowl tight end to your division rival, I'd be more concerned about that because at minimum now Detroit has to face him 3 times in the next roughly 25 games because we got one more this year and we got 2 more next year, and they got to deal with that guy 3 more times.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Hockenson. He's not Kelsey, he's not Kittle, not Mark Andrews, he's not Gronk, but the guy can play, and he has burned the Vikings, he's burned the Packers. Um, he has the ability to stretch the field as a tight end. The tight ends we have now, they're not going down the field so much. Hockenson is someone who can run that seam route, even run an out route, do some things that fades in the back corner of the end zone. So anyway, from where Detroit's sitting, I'd be more concerned if I'm a Lions fan.
I agree. I think that's the perfect take. Well, it was kind of like that. I kind of agree with that. And even going back to the draft, I think that's my overall outlook is like, yeah, if we're going to trade down with a division rival, that's cool. We will get their draft capital and give them less picks. So they're taking, a bigger gamble. And we have more throws at the doubt board, more poop to sling at the wall and hope it sticks, whatever metaphor you want to make. But I wouldn't want to trade up with a division. Like, I wouldn't want to see us call Detroit or call Green Bay or Chicago and say, hey, let us give you a haul of draft picks so we can move up to get one draft pick. So I like Kwesi's style. It does, I make this joke because I made a trade in fantasy football, and I feel as though I am the big winner of the trade because I got Travis Etienne, and I ended up losing, a decent wide receiver and a quarterback. But now I make this joke, well, now nobody wants to trade with me ever again because, if the guys I traded don't perform well, if these draft picks don't end up being home runs, Kwesi, good luck calling Detroit and saying like, hey, do you want to send us some guys? Do you want to trade up to the what was it, the 12th overall pick? So, you got to be a little careful with how bad you're fleecing the teams in your division and the teams around the league. But man, oh man, does this feel like we really stole one from Detroit. And like you said, he gets to play against his former team 3 times. And I don't know if you listened to his press conference. I listened to it this morning. Oh, not this morning. I'm sorry. On my way home from work today. And he was talking about how his dad grew up a Minnesota fan and his room is painted purple and gold. And he's excited to be in the true Midwest again because Detroit's not the Midwest. And I was like, he really does look like the Vikings logo. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. So I think we pivot now to talking about the Washington Commandos and all of that. But I think overall and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we're both very happy and excited about this trade.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm trying to contain myself a little bit because he's a tight end. It's not like we went and got Justin Jefferson's clone or something, but I think the thing that I'm most excited about is that it's just clear that Kwesi is being aggressive and they want to win. And you think about these moves that have been made, whether it's, from the signing of Zadarius Smith, Jordan Hicks, re-signing Kirk Cousins, the draft, and then now this one with Hockenson. These are not moves that Rick Spielman would have made. And so it's very clear that already in the short term, this move to Kwesi and O'Connell is already paying off, and it's exciting, and you can see that this franchise has an outlook and a vision, and they see a chance this season with a weak NFC and a 6-1 start, and they're going for it, and it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel better today. This will be my last thing, and then we'll get on to the Commandos. I feel better today about going to Philly for an NFC Championship game than I did before the trade happened yesterday. Before that, I was like, man, we have to play a perfect game. Now I feel like we have another weapon. As long as we can stay healthy, gosh darn it, there's a chance. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's talk about the Commandos. I will, let's see, how do let's go you first. Let's get your take on Washington. What your expectations are, who you think's going to win, and most importantly, how you think the game is going to play out, I guess.
Yeah, I think you and I have a little bit of a different perspective on this. I see this as I think it'll be a competitive game. So I think the Vikings are going to win 30 to 16. I think this will be sort of their first. I mean, the Packers game was a blowout, I guess, but this is sort of maybe one of those games where, you think they should win by a good amount, and I think they will. The line right now is only about 3.5, so odds makers are thinking this is going to be another close game with the Vikings. I think the way that I'm looking at this and why I think this will be a two-score game is a few different things. One being the Redskins, excuse me, the Commanders
Oh
offense.
boy.
The Commanders offense is just bad. Um, they have some weapons. I will give them that for sure. I think I was pleasantly surprised at the amount of weapons that they do have. Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, McKissick out of the backfield. They've got some guys who can shake a little bit, and can stretch the field. Terry McLaurin is no slouch. Um, but Taylor Heineke's he's limited. He's exciting. He's got the clutch gene. Um, he's gonna make plays, but he makes a lot of bad unforced errors. Throws off the wrong foot, throws interceptions, and when he really in positions where he shouldn't be. And I mean, he's a backup quarterback. He's not he's one of the better backup quarterbacks, and he's got a machismo and a mojo about him, but
Absolutely.
he doesn't worry me. I think obviously the Vikings will take him seriously, and I think part of the reason too why I think this will be a relatively competitive, but the Vikings will pull away sort of win is, I know you're going to talk about this a little bit. I don't think it's as much of a trap game as the fans and many are thinking this might be. 6-1 team, Buffalo's the game after. It's just been very clear with this team that they're a very much week to week sort of team. And we as the fans are looking at the schedule long term. The players aren't doing that so much. They're very much in the moment. I think O'Connell does a really good job of keeping the team in the moment. I also think that this team has taken every game seriously, and they have seen what it looks like to not play well and to almost get beat by teams that are inferior to you, a la Chicago, Detroit. And so I don't think this is a trap game. I think they'll take the opponent seriously. It's sort of a revenge game for Kirk Cousins, his first time going back to FedEx Field. So I think the Vikings will take care of business. I think it'll be a little bit ugly. Um, the reason why I think we'll end up getting to 30 points is I think Jalen Reagor is going to take a punt back for a touchdown.
All right.
That's going to be my bold prediction of the week. The Commanders have punted the most times in the league. They've punted 45 times in 8 games already, tied with the Broncos for the most in the league. And so I think with their anemic offense, they're going to give Rager a ton of chances, and I think he's finally going to break one. He's played in this field, or in this stadium, for 2 years now, being a member of the Eagles, and a little bit of comfort, and also just tons of chances. I think he's going to break one. So I'm actually going to give him my game ball as well. Technically, he's special teams again, not so much offense, but with the touchdown, I think that'll kind of stretch the game out a little bit. It'll turn a one-score game into a two-score game. The Vikings hold on to it. I think Greg Joseph gets back on track, gets a few field goal opportunities, makes his extra points. We need him to, and I think this is an opportunity to do that, with a lot of field goal attempts from a pretty decent, pretty good Commanders defense, once you get inside the red zone, and a stout pass rush. So the Vikings won't score as many touchdowns as they did last week, but they'll still have plenty of chances to score. So I think it's going to be 30-16, well contested game, but Minnesota will pull out at the end, pull away a little bit.
Yeah, so I agree with you that I think the Vikings are going to win this game. My rebuttal to the trap game narrative, I think it's almost impossible. Like, you have to be a very strong mind to not say, as you're game planning for the lowly Commandos, and they're selling the team that got announced today. Dan Snyder's working with Bank of America, and it's all this chaos, and Ron Rivera is being real hateful with the media and all this stuff going on. I think it's almost impossible to say, like, oh yeah, we should save this play for Buffalo. And like, oh yeah, if we do this in this game, we can put it on tape this week, and next week against Buffalo, we can do this. So I think it's almost impossible that in the back of some people's minds, and I'm not saying everybody, but in the back of some of the players' minds and maybe some of the coaches' minds, not to be thinking like, hey, we've really played like one elite team this season, and it was kind of embarrassing on Monday Night Football playing the Eagles. Now we're going to Buffalo. We have to play the Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills. We should probably be ready for that. And so I do think the Vikings win. I think the Vikings have a lot of experience winning close games, and I think that's gonna really play a factor here in this one. I'm gonna say the Vikings take this one 27-26, and I think that it's 27-26 with like 11 minutes to go in the game, and then nothing happens. I think that the defense just makes stand after stand. I think that, come Monday night, we'll be griping about how we've got to get a little more creative with the fourth quarter offense, and we've got to put teams away and yada, yada. But I do think we win. I'm just saying, I think this is going to be a very tight game. I think Washington will cover that 3.5. But I do think the Vikings will win. Like I said, and I alluded to it on Monday, and I'm kind of doing it now with looking ahead to Buffalo. I think that these close game experiences is really good. Like, the Vikings are going to have a lot of experience being down one possession with 2 minutes to go, being up a possession with 2 minutes to go. Like, they're going to be comfortable in those moments. And so as we play better teams and as we get deeper into the season, all of a sudden, like, there should be a little anxiety lifted off of our shoulders whenever the Vikings have to get a touchdown on this drive, or else the outlook is bleak, because they've kind of done it all season where it's like, oh yeah, they need points, they go get points. That, we should kind of expect that from Kevin O'Connell and his offense. So Vikings 27, Commandos 26 for the game ball in this one. I hate that you had offense and you didn't pick Kirk Cousins. That really upsets me. But I guess I kind of get it. I'm going to go with Danielle Hunter. I think that Heineke is going to see what the Vikings did to Kyler Murray on tape, and he's going to say, okay, well, I got to run away from these guys, not just let them engulf me. And so I think I think Danielle's going to get 2 or 3 sacks that honestly you could put on Taylor Heineke. I think he's going to be running away from Za'Darius right into the waiting arms of Danielle Hunter, and it also wouldn't shock me to see Danielle Hunter make a couple of big plays in the run game this week as well. So I'm going to go Danielle Hunter game ball, close Vikings win, and then we're on to Buffalo for a very exciting game between hopefully 2 7-1 teams. Or I guess Buffalo, they're not on bye this week, are they? They already had their bye.
No, they have a game.
The Jets.
Oh, that could be an interesting one.
That could be a very interesting one.
On the road at the Jets.
Yes. So all the way over in New Jersey, they have to leave the comfort of New York to go play the New York Jets. But so, could be 2 7-1 teams going up against each other to duke it out at Sunday at noon. Don't understand why NBC didn't want to flex that. I don't really know everything that goes on behind the scenes. So I'm not going to gripe about it too much, but I think it'll be fun. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to give my final thought really quick and then pass it off to you to get us out of here. Make sure that you shop unified. Make sure you follow the show at LTB Vikings. Follow Mr. Will Goodwin at Will Bad Lose. Check out the Bad Loser blog and check out VikingsTerritory.com for all of your Vikings news and articles and opinions and just all of that kind of stuff, because they have a great team over there and they're pumping out just banger after banger in terms of content. So you can catch the show on Monday. We'll be doing a Day Late and a Dollar show, a post-game show on Monday night, where we'll be recapping what happened in this game. But other than that, that's all I have. Everybody be safe this weekend. Enjoy your weekend, and hopefully Kirk Cousins... Hopefully we're both wrong. Hopefully this is like a 63-0 blowout, because Kirk Cousins is he's still pissed that Washington didn't want him. He kind of gives the "How comes they don't want me, man?" like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air thing. Like him and O'Connell are hugging on the sideline, there's tears falling. It's a whole thing. But yeah, that's all I got. I'll pass it off to you for your final thoughts, man.
Awesome. Yeah, honestly, last thing I got is just um, curious, excited, anxious to see a new piece in the Vikings offense. We haven't seen an in-season trade for a major piece in Minnesota. I can't remember since when.
Josh Freeman.
Maybe Randy Moss.
Oh yeah, Moss.
Josh Freeman.
Josh Freeman. You can't say he wasn't a
I was
man. He was
thinking
a
Randy
banjo
Moss in
bad.
2010.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I'm excited to see what comes out of this, and I would expect him to play limited snaps in Washington, just getting used to the playbook with only a couple days of practice, and then hopefully maybe unleashed a little more in Buffalo, which could be a nice little trick up our sleeve. So that's all I got as well. Looking forward to Sunday. It's going to be a fun week, fun weekend in Vikings football. That's all we got. Thanks everybody. Skol y'all.